What's up? It's your boy Carcino here, trying to get through it. Now, this is the truth behind the 50 Cent and Beanie Sigel contract or the record deal. Now, a lot of people remember just a few parts about this, and it's always the controversy. They always remember the Jay-Z, Beanie Sigel situation. They don't remember the actual reasons behind everything as far as what led up to these events. When Beanie first came to Rockefeller, Hard Knock Life had just took off. Matter of fact, on the Hard Knock Life tour, he didn't even have any records out. He was on tour just rapping freestyles for about 20 minutes. Like he was like an intermission break before the next act would come on. So when Beanie Siegel started blowing up was on volume 3. That was the first time y'all really heard him. And besides that, he was blowing up on like mixtapes that was coming out. But moving ahead, he dropped The Truth, and the Truth album that he put out was like one of the best solo projects Rockefeller had ever put out, next to uh, Kanye West. You know, that wasn't Jay-Z. That's what I mean by solo projects. They're standalone. And his success took off. You know, he's had a gold album, and the future looked bright. Then in 2001, getting ready to drop his album, you know, Rockefeller signed all these artists from Philly. You know, you got Young Guns and all these other guys coming out, Chris and Neef. And they put them all in one big gumbo pot and packaged them up and ready to sell them. And then here come Beanie, his album finna come out, then Freeway, and they finna like take over. So next thing you know, they dropped The Reason, and it really didn't take off. Mainly due to the fact that this is it's not today's time. See, back in these times, doing beef records with somebody wasn't really advantageous at the time. It's good and it's bad. And then it hurt Beanie in this sense because people were focusing more on the mixtapes than they was his album. Because he was involved in the Nas beef, and he adopted the Jadakiss beef, and he took all Jay-Z weight off of him. And because of doing that, it led to people not really buying the album. And you got a lot of friction. So certain sides are feeling certain way, like, F Beanie, man. So you got fans choosing side that normally listen to both of y'all. But now they don't care to hear any records you put out except for diss records towards the other side. And that's just it. So now you just become a diss rapper. So as great as that diss he did on Kiss was, he didn't gain any revenue from it, and it didn't help his record sales. So now you're left with a situation now. Your album kind of didn't do what they thought it was gonna do, and the turmoil within the record label between Dame and Jay is deteriorating at a fast pace. Now you got another situation where Beans is facing all these legal ramifications like jail. And because he's facing that type of time, He's got to make videos on the run. He's got to make music on the run. And, and what I mean on the run, I mean like he know he going to jail. So he got to get himself in order before he go down. So he's in there just taking care of the business. Like, oh, we're going to do this. We're going to move this here. We're going to move that there. Let's get it done. Except for there's one problem. One major problem. The the company's breaking up. Beanie goes to jail, and the company is broken into two pieces. Everybody's got to pick sides. Dame go his way, Jay going his way, and not everybody got to choose. And that's something a lot of people don't understand. Beanie didn't get to choose. They told him he's going with Dame because he took Kanye, and it was like, all right, well, if I'm taking Kanye, then I got to leave him Beanie. Because those were the two biggest artists there, not even Memphis Bleek. Memphis Bleek was with Jay, period. And that was just that. So after this, it was a situation where things were going through a different process. He put out the Be Coming album because he was in jail, paying major legal fees, lawyers, and everything else involved. And the album didn't do that well. I Feel It in the Air didn't have any promotion. They was trying to drown Dame out of the record business. And that's what eventually ended up happening. So after 1 year, Beanie Sigel was like, look, I'm through with this, with Dame. After all the stuff that he went through with the state prop and everything, he was just through with Dame, and they were out. So now that they got out of the deal, he went back and re-signed with Rockefeller Records. So Jay got everybody back on the same team. So now everybody's like, all right, it's gonna be great. They're working on the right album for Beanie Sigel. And Beanie's album finna come out, and it doesn't do what everybody thought it was gonna do. It flopped. And Jay was like, man, what am I gonna do with Beanie Sigel? And at this time, Beanie was like, man, he did the song with R. Kelly and all this. Jay-Z, 50 Cent was interested because they did the co-promotion deal together for the Kanye, 50 Cent, the Curtis, and the Graduation album. Like 50 Cent versus Kanye, the whole marketing strategy behind that was excellent. It was successful. So they looking at future endeavors as far as marketing. And he was like, look, let me get Benny Siegel's contract. That'll be a good fit for G Unit. If we got the general in there, no, and bring in Benny Siegel, because he was like, Benny Siegel could stand off and do what he needs to do. Needless to say, this didn't happen. Jay wouldn't allow this deal to go down, mainly because he wasn't really finna do nothing with Beanie no more. Beans is like, man, this situation ain't working out, man. But he didn't want to let Beans go. And then he just kept him and let him sit there and not finna release any music from him till his contract ran out, which was in 2009. So 2 years later, you held him there. held him hostage till his contract expired. Once his contract expired, he was able to go in and talk about his frustrations on why when 50 was finna offer him a deal that was $800,000, Jay said nah, turned it down for him. Nah, man. And it was like, nah, I can't get my money? Really? Is that how you feel? So, with this being said, you know, he started feeling a certain type of way, and then, you know, nobody ever remembers what you do for them. They always remember when the money ain't there no more. When he signed with Dame, he got like 200K. It all went towards his lawyer fees, but that ain't had nothing to do with the record company. And I know Jay, when they say Rock La Familia, he's thinking, when they say Rock La Familia, he's thinking, and people are thinking, you know, like we a family, but this is a business, you know. And when things are business related and set up as a business, this is one of the these are some of the things you have to, you know, take into consideration. So in 2009, when uh when the deal was, you know, he could sign with 50 Cent, Benny Siegel thinking, all right, I'm back. Let me get that deal. You know, let me go ahead and sign with G Unit and get this $800,000. 50's like, it was 800,000 back then. It ain't $800,000 now. It was 800,000 then. Now he be lucky if he get $100,000 for a deal. That was showed the climate had changed, and definitely with Interscope, things have definitely changed. Full circle. Now with G Unit, they wanted to wait before they went ahead and did this deal, and they were still in negotiations because Interscope and part ways. And 50 with his what's that subsidiary of G Unit, which was G Unit Philly, is what he started and signed him to that imprint. So it wasn't actual G Unit. So once this was done, they got a record deal in place, but they couldn't really release it because of the 50 Cent business with Interscope. And once the album didn't do what it was supposed to do, the before I self destruct because of the conflict with Interscope, they just ended up just saying, you know, this is not gonna work. And 50 was gone, and Beanie Siegel put out something on another label because G Unit Philly was not putting out anything, so he ended up going to a independent, which made him some dollars. Actually, he sold like almost 70,000 units as an independent. But the deal ended up didn't going any, you know, going anywhere. Then down the road, he ended up apologizing to Jay, you know, about the situation, even though he don't call it an apology. So it is what it isn't, and that's really it. That's all that happened on the contract. But they never ended up getting the deal done. So, I mean, like making a record, like an album together and stuff. Besides, I Go Off was like a sample of what could have been. That would have been monumental if it was on 50 Cent's album before I self destruct. Because I Go Off was epic. But they were using the Jay-Z angle as far as dissing Jay-Z and all that stuff. And Benny felt like, man, I was being used by 50. He was just gonna use me to diss Jay.